We are having a different lecture today. Usually I go over a single pro game and highlight how amazing it is and why you too should think it is just so freaking amazing. Today we are not going to do that. I'm trying something a little bit different today, which is going to make my life a little bit unpleasant in terms of editing, but that's fine. We are going to have a little bit of a pop quiz. And that is going to involve trying to figure out where, in the mid-game specifically, the largest point on the board is, courtesy of a variety of different professional games. First one here, we have one of Kang Dong-yun's games. I do believe that's a player. Yes, it looks like it. And the game begins thus. Remember, we're interested mostly in just the mid-game. How we get there, we don't really care about. We don't really care about how we get there, but we are interested in just the old mid-game. So, Kang Dong-yun approach is low. Interesting. I like the particular pincer that White chooses here, simply because there's a bunch of Chiseki, a lot of different variations. A lot of fun. He chooses to change directions. Okay, getting a bit of influence for himself. Notice we don't play away just yet in the opening, because that would give Black a crazy amount of thickness with which he could use to attack his opponent indefinitely. So we do play the Hane underneath. Since we have some influence, he decides to take a large enclosure for himself, and thus we get close to our first question. As we start settling here, and the board starts filling out, we have to make a decision in our world. And that is, with no obvious weak groups left, with no obvious corners to approach, we are officially in mid-game. And as such, we have to ask ourselves, where is the largest point on this particular board? We can go back and invade the 3-3. Wait, whose turn is it? White's? I'm sorry. Yeah, we can invade the 3-3 as White. We can go after the stone over here. Can try and invade. F8 is suggested by Michael Scar. F8. Interesting choice, trying to develop a left-hand. Centauro says, play like K4. Interesting choices. Might be White says the bottom looks biggish, might reduce. But here I'm not throwing anybody off with my suggestions. E looks like a pro move. Really? Okay. Now, I do want to highlight E first, because if you play E, you're inviting the cap, and then suddenly you don't like E anymore. E looks very, very, very bad all of a sudden, because you're kind of annexing about a fourth of the board to your opponent. You're going to have to reduce this immediately. So E is not quite going to do it. We don't want to play away like at A, for similar reasons. Because of caps, because of shoulder hits, because of a whole bunch of unpleasantness. I like P8. What is P8? P8. Ah, okay. So one comment that I thought was really interesting that I've seen so far is people are looking at this bottom right area and saying we have to reduce. So here is a simple question that'll instantly get the right answer for everybody. What is a nice forcing move on the bottom of the board to reduce? Give you a hint, it's none of these. What is a nice forcing move on the bottom of the board that we typically use to reduce areas, frameworks, things like that? The shoulder hit, precisely. Exactly. And instantly we get the correct answer. Once we identify what we want to do, it's like, what do we want to do on this board as White? Well, we don't want this to ever be a thing. Oh, you said J4? I'm sorry, Lost Jack. It was lost in the clutter. That's why you should join Discord and speak. Anyway. So yeah, once we identify what we're trying to do, we can kind of find out what move accomplishes that particular task. In this case, lo and behold, it is in fact shoulder hit. Now, I do have another problem featuring this very same game. So we will continue. This game began a few minutes ago. Or not the game, but the lecture did, sorry. So I have another question about this that features excellent directional choices. Note black attacking. And continuing to attack. Poking at the shapes, my favorite. Threatening small knights, again my favorite, not just passively doing things. But whatever. Second question is coming up after a few pokes, after a few connections. I want to make sure I get this right. Want to make sure I get these all correct. The importance of this shape is going to be very, very vital in a second. Connecting up our stones because they're being surrounded. Poking at the point because we're going to lose 2 stones. Now here's an interesting question that will test your life and death skills. The largest point sometimes is taking an open area on the board, sometimes it's invading, and sometimes it's making certain that we're not dead. In order to find out if we're not dead, we kind of need a little bit of life and death capabilities. So on this board, we have to first evaluate, are we fine with this group or not? If we're not, then where's the largest point to play? And if we are, same question. Are we fine? If so, where should we play? And if not, how do we live? Too difficult for 11Q. I don't think it is. I don't think it is. It's not too difficult. Integral says that we're voting that we're fine. Why? Why are we voting that we're fine? How do we know?
I feel like there's an eye on the bottom, and then we're out, so we can get another one.
Ooh, where's the eye on the bottom?
Like, just if Hane is at F2, you can just G2, and you're got an eye.
Yeah, G2 is an amazing place for eyes right now. Because it actually.
Yeah, but what if white plays there first?
That's where the other one comes in. Exactly. That's where the other one comes into play. Like, we've got this, but are we really in trouble? You know what? Let's back that up even further. We can play here and let them connect, but because we extended, we also have this point. So right now we've got this point that we can begin making shape with. We've got We've got this point which we can begin making shape with, and we can still come out. No, white can't cut, but he can try and, deny us 2 eyes there. Whoops. By playing this way, right? He can begin to try and do that anyway. But between the eye here, the eye that we have at this point, that we just can't seem to really get rid of, it looks like black is in fact fine here. So once we identify all of these different ways that we're alive, we realize we don't have to play locally. So where's the largest point?
That's harder.
Little bit.
I don't know which direction to push white.
Push which group of whites?
The center.
You're
I
gonna
kind of want
attack.
to take the table at h9, but then that doesn't really do anything. Kind of want to go from the top maybe, but that doesn't really build that much. I don't know.
What you
Maybe
said
invade.
there, what you said there is actually really telling. You said that you want to attack, but you just saw two different attacks that don't really do anything. Once you get that answered, the next logical conclusion is, oh, so we shouldn't attack right now because we kind of can't. Save it for later. If you play like a large move elsewhere, I'm not saying it's here, but let's say you play a large move elsewhere, and then your opponent defends, that just means you get Sente to keep, playing other moves, right?
Yeah.
Is this a one-person lesson? No, this is you being able to join Discord if you want to. And people said repeatedly, a couple people got it, I think, right? C17? What's C17? Ooh, the upper left-hand corner. No.
I am kind of looking at the left-hand side, though. The white stone at around C9.
It looks a little bit too far
that.
away, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. The corner would be bad, because then, like, whatever happens here, maybe white gets the fix. Then we never get to attack that one last little weak area of whites. But yeah, that area right here, so far so good. Most people are able to recognize where a large point is. If we cut this off, that's huge. If we force white to make us even more alive and get second line territory, that's good too. But we wouldn't do this, obviously, if we were still, like, weak in the middle. That would be, well, suicide, actually. So, alright, correct. C12, who got the C12 one correct? Might be White and Milky Cold were the first two people to get it. Congratulations. You are professionals today. Now, believe it or not, this game is so amazing, there is actually a third large point in the mid-game to find. So I have a third problem here that I want to go over. Why do we do invade? Are we behind? Not really the question. Let's say we don't invade, and we, defend the top. We are saying that we don't mind never being able to attack a weak group ever again. Like, by playing in here, one, we're denying a huge area of territory to our opponent. We are putting pressure on the corner where they want to get most of their territory from. And as a little caveat, we might get one weak group running into another. So this is just a huge opportunity that we wouldn't want to pass up. If we give Sente away, maybe our opponent lets us live and fixes that point on the bottom. Now we're not behind, but I don't know, do we come behind if we don't do anything about this and just let them push us around and build? Huge opportunity lost. Huge opportunity lost. Weak groups are amazing for changing or holding on to the flow of the game. The game's going against you, you find a weak group, you can put pressure on it, suddenly you're determining how the game continues. If you're in a great position and there's a weak group, we can keep applying pressure, and as long as that pressure is being applied, they can't kind of turn around and fix that position without letting something big go, which is usually the group that you're putting pressure on. Where were we? Here? No. There. Gotcha. Alright, so there's another area in this game that features a wonderful position. So you can see white defending here rather than losing the entire corner. And then this great threat to come out. Doing two things at once. Strengthening the invasion, building the top. Tries to counterattack. Black's not having it. So now we're making exchanges. Atari. White got a little something. Black got a little bit more in the corner. Shape point. Sente. Turn is huge because now that isolates C9. Let's see how far down this is. It's there. Okay. Where did white go? Lean on the outside stone. See if we can't kill the irritating invasion. Probe to see how much Aji's left behind. As you can see, the answer is a lot. Again, getting into more forcing moves. Making sure that we're nice and alive. Got to connect out a little bit. Trying to limit how much black's actually gaining in this area. Again, all of these annoying forcing moves, forcing life over and over and over again. More like white is getting destroyed. That is true. White is getting a little bit uncomfortable here, as he just struggles to not be severely hurt in the area which he was trying to expand from. And thus brings us to question number 2. 3. One of the two, anyway. We have Sente here as black. This one should be a little bit easier. This one should be a little bit easier to find, because we have two choices. We have two really big choices that we can make. Two of the unknown players says we should split.
R17 maybe?
R17? Going back and defending there? Okay, okay. Certainly possible. Will be Gote, though, which is a little bit dangerous. There's something we can play. It's pretty big in Sente that just about all of you have played in your games before. And I bet I could remove 3 stones from this board and everyone would instantly find it. Q13 was asked. Q13. Shoulder hit. Interesting idea there, Mojo Monkey.
C17 to connect.
C17 to connect. Unfortunately, that won't live. If we play C17, that'll just stay dead. Maybe we could try to play here. But again, it's pretty much the same thing. We can't actually do anything here. That corner is secured. A lot of you are in the right area. Some of you are way too aggressive and you want to attack, from what I'm seeing in the chat.
Could you do N16?
N16. That's a pretty strong move.
I don't want to take H9 first, too.
If we take these moves off the board, then everyone probably wants to begin playing over here again. Since we have those moves on the board, we know that we can't really expand all the way over to here, which is how we come across this one. It's going to be Sente, because that Hane is amazing. We're not going too deep and inviting really crazy complications here. It's just a nice, easy forcing move that we can maybe use to make this our new sector line. Bats go school, you're way too aggressive. Okay, yeah, okay, I admit, if this was me streaming, I would totally be trying to cut this off. I agree. This is a nice simple one just to build, because black's pretty happy, and we've already established that all of black's groups are alive, right? A's alive, the corner's fine, top's got great shape. But yeah, moves like this are a little bit too much because you are inviting cutting points, which means potential. I'm not saying it doesn't work, just that black chose a little bit of a easier variation. In this case, for example, we just got a solid wall into white making his last mistake. Before we switch to the game, I'll show you why it's last mistake. This really hurts because we can't really connect up. That was not a very good variation. Suffice it to say, gotta love King Dunyu's fighting abilities. WS 40 points is not going to grow, especially when he's just created a brand new weak group on the board, Tomb of the Unknown Player. Especially when he's just created a brand new weak group to deal with. I mean, obviously he tries, right? He tries to deal with it. But in the course of attempting to live with everything, you can guess that things just start dying from here on out.
Well, yeah, I mean, even if he manages to make the J15 group live, he's just going to lose everything else.
Yeah, we have 3 different groups right now that are not alive. Not alive, not alive, not alive. So it's just too much. Too much. Alright, so here we have a game between Lee Cheng-ho and a brand new Wondon. Little 1P. Now, I do have to point out, just because someone's professional Wondon does not mean they are weak. Everyone begins at Wondon. Lee Sedol did, Lee Cheng-ho did, good old Mr. KG. Everyone starts at Wondon. But alright, this is a modern Lee Cheng-ho game, just so you know. So we're probably not going to see the whole live and let live strategy that he's a little bit more known for. We have this I also want to point out. I've lost track of how many games are opening up with a large enclosure right now. So if you're weak to it, you need to study up on it. Yes, Michael Scar, even you would start off as a 1P. But alright. A little bit weird. Usually we go here, but Lee Cheng-ho is taking enclosure this way. Alright, sure, whatever. Double enclosure, so we're going heavy territory into invasion style, it looks like. Shoulder hits. Looks like we're not going heavy territory into invasion. We're actually going to go into a heavy influence game from Lee Cheng-ho, which I think I want to point out right now is very brave. We have a large knight saying I want influence. We have an extension high saying I want influence. And we're just going to go and out-influence him, hopefully. We play here, get an extension as we drop back. They go into an invasion rather than strengthen this any further. How we decide how to handle this is in large part to what we want to do on this board. And right now we want influence, so it wouldn't make much sense, for example, to take like a passive play here into allowing our opponent to settle easy peasy. I mean, we can still play this. We can get a bunch of territory, but this is more territorial, and it looks like Lee Cheng-ho is trying to go for influence. So it stands to reason that he's hitting on the outside and inviting his opponent in, which, after some encouragement, he does. He's not going to play this, for example, because this is too over-concentrated. When would we play c4? What is c4? C4 and the 3-3 are pretty much the same. You would normally play c4. 3-3 is usually regarded as a little bit slow because there's like a whole bunch of ways to just get shape here still. Yeah. Usually we would play here, not the 3-3. I just played the 3-3 because it's more natural and easy to understand. But alright, so rather than connecting our stones, we go into the corner, getting the outside as we thought we would. And now we have our first question of the game. We have a bunch of influence. Our opponent has lived in our corner. What, oh what, do we do now as white? Where is that largest point? Don't say Tengen or you're banned.
Yeah, I like to shoulder hit the 03 stone too.
Shoulder at 03?
Yes.
That is certainly an aggressive play. I like it though.
Yeah, I agree.
Everyone's queuing into N4.
Would it be
actually.
too early for R16?
Too early for R16. Okay, so R16 goes against what we're trying to do right now. R16 says you're worried about how much your opponent is developing, and you want to start reducing his territory. But if the game is open, then maybe that's not what we want to do. Maybe if the board is open, we want to keep trying to develop and make him so frightened of like what we're developing in the middle that we can invade wherever we want later. Because we're just going to have like so much strength that we can just like go in at any point and just get out.
Is it bad to cap at maybe 010 because it's a 4 like on the 4th line? Or should we maybe shoulder hit then cap?
That's pretty brave. If you want to keep the cosmic style, that would be good. That would be good.
What about shoulder hitting then capping?
You should commit to one or the other. There's no guarantee you're gonna get Sente if you commit to one and get Sente out of there to take them both. That's greedy. You should expect one at best.
I also kind of like the turn at like M17.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, that's actually very good.
So the reason why I'm smiling here on chat, and that should make everyone nervous, is because it's a little bit of a trick question. Because black has these stones here, and we are a little bit questionable on our liberties. We got 4 liberties here. We got 4 liberties here. If we want to try and build, that's good. We're identifying a lot of points, like A and B, that we might want to try and get in. However, building with weaknesses like this is going to be a problem. So white actually defends his point here, because right now, if black tries to take out the stone, as disgusting as it is, it kind of works. We could actually just try and run this out because of how many different problems white starts having. So if we want to build, we need to make certain that we're nice and strong and limit the agi that our opponent has on us. So playing a move like this is actually really, really big. And if we tried something like this, for example, and build this way, again, this kind of comes back into play because of the forcing moves that we allowed to remain on the board. Because like all of these could be problems while we're trying to build up. Uh-oh. Red Like a Book is sobbing. Did you get it right? I missed it? Sorry if I did. If you did. So I like that we try to build. I like that we're finding all these great places to build, but we do have to respect our cutting points, especially when our opponent already has stones in the area of those cutting points, because you know he's going to use he's a professional. Even if he's a little 1p, even a little 1p will find ways to reduce based on the agi that's currently on the board. Now I think this is another game where I had 2 examples. Yes, and they're real close to each other. Okay. So I'll just keep this game open, go to the next one. Getting strength to attack the right stones. Great way to limit the expansion. White is, of course, staying with the whole influence vibe. He wants to just build, 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 build. Don't mind me, we're just reducing all the things. Doot, doot, doot. Doot, doot. Doot, doot. Gotta love forcing moves. Gotta love forcing moves. And now, we have the same question. Yes, I did trick you. I did that intentionally. Looks good for beat, doesn't it though? It really does. This, I'll go back and play this a little bit slower. This sequence of the attachment is really, really nice. And imagine how much more damage you could do if this wasn't on the field, because you're already getting stronger. I mean, this is just going to be like a weak group that has to be defended. Or we're going to go back and maybe play the defense in Gote after Black's getting stronger here. So it could be a problem. Could be a problem. The throw-in here is also really, really nice. Without the throw-in, it's hard to picture how we're going to get a lot here for shape. But, okay. We throw in once because it gives us all of these extra forcing moves right where we want to reduce. But after our forcing moves are done, after we've been made stronger, I think this is one that everyone will get. I'm confident that everyone will get this one. Because we got large moves still. Got large moves here, got large moves here. Can maybe take a large point over here.
I feel like H11.
What's the size of the wall?
Okay, so maybe K or J.
K seems a little bit too far. But yeah, from at the very least a 3-stone wall, we would want to go 1, 2, 3, and then +1. So I'd probably extend about 4 spaces from that if we were going to extend from here. But let's see if there are greedy people in the chat. P15? Ah, there are greedy people in the chat. Yes. Nice. Wait, what? Ooh, to defend. I see. You want to play here to defend the corner. Just get out of there. H11, same thing. Extend, usually wall +1. Does anybody not want to extend?
Can't I just do something like K14 and try to make Sabaki while attacking the top stones of white?
But white would split, right?
White could definitely split that, yes. White's got forcing moves against this, or simply a shoulder hit against the stone that you just played. And now you're kind of like left in the situation where we could sacrifice the left, but then the right has to be worth a lot of profit.
I don't really want to commit to saving those 4 stones.
Oh, you don't?
But maybe I want to build off of them somehow. I don't know.
I feel like white committed everything to the center, so the largest thing should be like to reduce by extending from the 4 stones.
I like that answer the best. We've identified how white is trying to win the game. Like, white adopted a very early center-leaning strategy. We found a bunch of we found more forcing moves than ideally we could have ever asked for in the game. So committing to saving them seemed like it's a pretty good idea. And as a little bit of a added bonus for saving them, if white's not careful, we might wind up growing the bottom right-hand side of the board if something isn't done about this potential extension, because we're kind of making like a little square here now that has to be reduced, which is very, very weird because white was the influential player in this game. So this is pretty strong. This is pretty strong.
That was still my move. I just don't want to like
Hmm.
keep playing for them. I want to play like around them.
Hmm. Now, for those of you, some people who are probably wondering like what happens if white throws in here, it actually occurs in the game, so I'll show it briefly. Not immediately though, right? Yeah, not immediately. He played here first. Got a few forcing moves on in.
You still got a white stone at T19.
Oh, I do. Yeah, he didn't play that. Sorry. There we go. Ah, not that either. There we go. Now we're making more sense. I guess this would have made an interesting problem as well. See what your life and death is like. Is it possible to live in the corner? Wasn't originally what I wanted to ask, but might as well. Makes for an interesting little Go problem.
I think it's a call by maybe playing at B19.
Play where? B19?
B9, yeah.
Interesting option. You do need a move here, Centauro, yes. But the question is, just Hane? Hane where? I'm assuming he means A18 and not C19, but just making sure. J16. J16 says, I'm gonna give up them stones. Well, not really. Okay, you do mean A18, okay. I was wondering if anyone was gonna try to connect and save everything and be really, really greedy. But that would be bad, because then this goes back and gets killed. So that's good. As it stands, yes, this can live. This can absolutely live. Comes at a cost, though. And then white goes and throws it, which is the reason why I kept playing this game. Just in case anyone's wondering, like, isn't this too far away? Can't white go into the 3 space? The answer is no. We just go underneath. And then from here, there's not a whole lot that white can do. I mean, we can go and get some influence, which is what white chooses to do. To grow the middle. And we get out. We extend, otherwise that's a bit of a snapback. This is a nice move. It's threatening for this to not be alive anymore. Guess you could probably play this way too. No, you can't. Because right now, there's no way to live with this anymore. We definitely need to be able to make that extension after the take. If we can't, then we're in trouble. So that's a little bit of a cute move. That one right there. Instead, we take. And unfortunately, the area that white is attempting to build is just not going to be large enough compared to the area that black is trying to build. One of the many reasons why I said that the game goes on for quite some time, even though white is a 1-dan professional against Lee Cheng-ho, 9-dan, this game actually is in black's favor, and poor little Lee Cheng-ho loses. Of course, I'll have links to all of these later. I don't have them right now because in the process of getting this little lecture together, wouldn't you know it, Go for Go has been unresponsive for the last 24 hours at least. And yeah, and still unresponsive. So whatever's happened to them, it's not resolved just yet. But I cannot bring up the website to give you a link to the game. Sorry about that.
It feels like Lee Cheng-ho was experimenting with this game, maybe.
Maybe. A couple of his games have been a bit more influence-oriented than usual. I totally blame AlphaGo for that.
I feel like D16 was maybe slow because it ended in Gotha for white. Like when white omits D16, he can play a large move like N4 or something. I mean, it hurts a lot.
Yeah, it really does.
But
if you omit this cut actually works because there's no ladder, so we're just going to be getting into a fight like this.
Yeah, but white wants to fight with all the influence, right? Probably.
Maybe. Probably think this is a little bit too easy for black to fight with because we have to defend the left-hand side, and then we just get a liberty shortage on the right-hand side. And that's along with the algae that's here. So it'd be risky.
Yeah, and then there's still a lot down with D5 and C8 that if you get that cut in and start running down towards them, you're going to have a big problem.
Definitely a bold strategy, though. That's for sure. Going for this particular style. Anywho, I think I've got a couple of more. This is that one. Yes, I do. I am behind. This one I will have to close, I want to say. Okay, this one's also a nice and easy one. For this first lecture like this, I did pick some relatively, what I thought were a bit easier variations. So maybe everyone can get them correct. Or most people anyway. I did throw in some curves, like the tiger's mouth, for example. Once again, we see a large knight from black. We're attaching to strength in order to build off of it, I like. Now this is an interesting one. I haven't seen this a whole lot, but the general idea here is, one, it's harder to actually invade the A area now. And if our opponent goes on the outside, it gives us more. On the right, which is also nice. It's a weird one. Invite the opponent to come in. Pincer here makes sense because of the enclosure. We're going to expand from it. Changing directions makes sense because we almost never do something like this. This is usually like one of the slowest ways you can possibly play a game. Because you haven't really gotten rid of the bottom left-hand stuff. In fact, technically, you've gotten rid of none of it. And the corner's not even gone yet. You're just kind of settling here. So this would be if maybe, I don't know, white had some like really huge amount of stones in here and you just need to settle immediately. That's pretty much the only reason why we ever play a variation like this. So just want to point that out. Instead, we're just going ahead and settle, and we're just going ahead and settle, minding the cut point, because again, if we play elsewhere, oops, we are now in trouble. I've actually been in this position before too, before I needed Joseki. Not a fun place to be in, because you're just going to give all of the bottom territory to your opponent while you're running away like a scaredy person. And then last but not least, we're nearing the problem right here. Looks like everyone is settling nicely, and we just make a decision as white where the largest move on the board is. Because even though things are settled, things are a little bit still unsettled. Like the bottom of the board, for example, we got those two stones at E3 that are not dead or alive just yet. They're just kind of hanging out. We extended to R11. Our opponent did not respond to us, so we can invade now and try to put pressure on Q9. There's a bit of a space between J17 and O17. Could invade there as well. We have a lot of different options. We're talking about the biggest point in the game right now, Michael Scar. You have to decide if it's a big point or an urgent point. Do pros always have the right answer? No.
I'm looking at maybe P11 or R9. I feel like the group is not fine at R11.
You want to defend here still. I see.
I think that the R11 group is fine. I'm much more interested in the 2 black stones at F3, and if we can maybe cut that off from the large knight enclosure in the bottom right.
You'd be pincering there then. I see. Isn't the cut dangerous? Okay, so now you're talking about this one, I assume, right? The problem with this is it's hard to do because the cut itself isn't sente, right? This is a bamboo joint. So we can just go back and live.
Kind of just want to surround that top left group.
How?
Could you play F12?
That is the correct answer. Because there are a bunch of moves on the board right now which are tempting. However, here's a question for you. Is the black group completely settled right now? The answer to that is no. That right there would be death. Unless we're going to go to Ko or do something weird. So by playing here, yep, too many unknown players said it as well, we're forcing our opponent to live.
Maybe you can expand that F4 later.
Goes back and protects the cutting point since we lost some shape there. We still have to live. So we're getting reinforcements on the left-hand side of the board. Surrounding this one group is amazing. We get to connect up solidly. We get to solidify our influence. And then we can go and do cool things like try to expand and attack like you mentioned earlier. We can see if that's going to be a thing. Let's say you are an aggressive player. Here's the real question. If you are an aggressive player as white, and you really, really wanted to try to kill something, how could we try to attack black?
Well, first you'd have to cut him.
Where?
Either the large knight or the 2 space.
Which one? We have to commit to one or the other. There's a really nice way for us to find out which one we want to commit to here. Uh-oh, people are fighting in the chat. They don't know which one to do. K13, K15. Yep, it's one or the other. Which way are we going to commit to? Above or below? There's an easy way to find out, too. It's a really easy way to know.
I would say above.
Why?
Separating 2 groups and fight for the one that you doesn't want.
Yeah, by trying to cut the 13 stone, we're not really putting much pressure on the top. By trying to cut here, we're also trying to surround the top. We're putting pressure on that as well. So trying to connect 2 weak groups up with a large knight, fundamentally not such a smart enough decision to make. And the same is true in here. If you see a large knight, you can in fact go ahead and cut it. Because this creates a ridiculous amount of problems for you. Game over.
Why not K16?
Why not K16? What's K16? Oh, this one? This is not quite the same. Like, we can try to cut this way, but it looks like we can handle that. Like, we're just kind of inviting ourselves to be surrounded here. We could go down like this, and then cut. But again, the same question arises, like, it looks like we're not cutting a single stone, we're cutting a wall and a stone, so we can just go and strengthen ourselves. But cutting here, this is just one stone and one stone. Right? We're having liberty shortages. No matter how we answer, we're going to have liberty shortages. Right? But here we don't. Here we're actually doing pretty good. And it looks like we're going to actually stabilize the whole thing and kill off the white stones on top and take some territory for ourselves.
Yeah, with K15, one of those two groups is getting dead or surrounded.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's already almost on the clock. Jeez, okay. There is one more that I have. Like we were mentioning, Park Chung-won is an aggressive player. And he opens up about as aggressively as you can possibly imagine. Doesn't defend the left. He's just trying to pick fights everywhere, which is good. We like Park Chung-won fighting. That's how he took down Lee Cheng-ha. Black tries to get white to commit to left-hand side because it's really, really tough to completely surround the stones over there. As we see in this particular example, no matter like how we play, either of these points, there's always something lingering that lets something of this live. So instead of, let's say, I don't know, playing here and then getting two weak groups immediately running, he settles one in the corner, and then we can just use the other one as Aji. White doesn't want his stones gotten rid of rather. So we can see here. Tough situation for white. Does he get to live? Okay, but black also got to settle nicely. In Sente, so we get to come out, like we mentioned just a minute ago. We can get out because there's such a huge space here. Again, trying to surround. Can't be kept in. Not the question, but who says the left is dead? And who says it can live? You think it's possible to kill off the left-hand side? Could be possible.
Who's blacks or whites?
It's black's turn. So is it possible for black stones to be dead right now? Or are we going to be fine here? I'll even make it easier. There we go. Even easier. Stone's alive or dead?
I feel black should defend.
So you think black can live in there?
You mean the bottom left? The bottom left's dead.
Yeah, we're talking about the bottom left-hand stones.
Yeah, I
Isn't it
think
kind of
I
cool?
think he should defend now.
How would you defend?
How about the wedge? Then you have kind of core idea or something.
C7.
C7. Attach? Probably not going to be quite enough. A move like C7. Because that right there is double Atari, right?
Isn't something like E4 is something like center, and then the wedge first is F5, and then trying to make something like a core there.
I think I see what you're saying. So black plays here because it creates a cutting point, and then we do have a wedge going on because we play this to force a take, and now we ask if we can surround the bottom left-hand corner, which would be huge, and it would be life immediately. We'd probably connect up to H3, so white says no. You cannot. But that means this is Ko. So that's huge, being able to see that. Not the reason why I picked the game, by the way. So we fight this for a little while. Now we're going to go into play here. Can't keep fighting the Ko, there's just way too many threats. Time to go under. Atari. Atari. Trying to make life. Trying to deny life. 1 second, missed a move. Nope, I didn't. Connect, or Atari rather. And alive. Time to poke. Asking move. Defense. Reason why that's to defend because of this. Whoops. Because if we play here, along with that Atari, it's just too much, right? We just get those stones killed. And then that's pretty much a huge collapse for white. So we play here, we defend there. And now the question is, large moves for black. Once again, we have to decide, are we okay in the upper left-hand corner? If we're not, we should probably play there to defend. And if we are, then where's the next largest move?
I feel like L10.
You feel like L10. L10. Oh, that's... yeah, it's L10. Any other ideas?
I feel like black kind of needs D18.
Needs D18. Interesting point. Interesting point. D18 does flat out kill the 2 stones. That's true. So the question we have to ask ourselves first is black alive? And that's a tricky one. The left-hand side is really tricky. If we play away, and we get another move here, it kind of seems like we're going to die, right? This is not alive. I mean, we have 2 eyes. We can't stop it. There's really not a whole lot we can do about it. However, if we do get connected underneath, we do have the ability to kill this off. And then that's Gote. So not everything is alive up there, but it's alive enough. Conversely, if we play away, our opponent plays here. I think we exchange this first. And then... yeah, and then we play this one. Maybe not. Maybe I am wrong. Could certainly be possible.
What about A14?
Oh. That's a good point. Never mind. That looks fine. Maybe a Ko? But they are pros. They don't mind Ko. Alright. Not like me. I would lose the game here. So either way, it looks like we have a choice of some of it lives, or we have a Ko. Thus, we're looking to play away. N17. I like N17. K17, it's influence for white. If it's influence for white, you don't go that close. You'd play a move like N17 instead, because if that influence is scary, you don't want to be cut off without the ability to make a base. Right?
Okay, makes sense.
So I would play the large knight instead. And then if on the off chance, let's say we do that, and they try and take as much as they possibly can. Well, that's when we get to play like these wonderful little caps, or even these like little knight moves, to see if we can't force him to defend what has now become a small area, while we just keep building up the right-hand side. So that'd be good. Either way, no one's right yet. 017. Yeah, same thing. M8. M8. Now this is a truly interesting move, on account that white is not alive yet. If we got to cut through here, where are the eyes? Whoops. Because this is all that white has for eye shape. So this move is insanely huge. We're going after what white absolutely needs right now, because there's no feasible way to make 2 eyes in here. And while we're doing this, we could potentially make a ton of free influence. Yeah, this is a move. M8. M8 is move. Because from here, everything changes. White has to not be dead, which gives black more and more on the right-hand side, as he struggles to just not be dead right now. Forcing move, because that's an Atari, which culminates into the group that can't live locally being surrounded. Now, long story short, yeah, this dies. I mean, he struggles against it, but the entire bottom group is dead now. Even if it wasn't dead, that would still be really good, because we're getting a ton of strength. We're having a new weak group on the outside to attack. So being able to find that vital point is amazing. Because it suddenly turns everything on its head. Like, a lot of people wanted to take that a lot of people want to take away white's expansion. That would be really, really big if the group on the bottom was completely settled. But since it isn't, finding this one point changes everything. Suddenly, you don't have to worry about this.
Could that group on the bottom not link up to the G5 stones in the bottom left?
Right, so it tries that. I'll advance the game a little bit. Nope, not you. Here? Nope. Whatever, I'll replay it. So we play here, and then we played there, and then we went in this branch. Yes, we did. Okay. First, it tries to save here, because even if you live, the outside's kind of crazy. And after this point, you can't. I mean, admittedly, you have to try. But, oh, go away. Go away. You have to try, but it's tough to do it. Because, like, even at this point, like, how do you get in an actual move to connect? We can play there. It doesn't quite work. We can play here. And again, we have to be really, really careful because we're getting cut off again. So it seems like no one move is potentially going to cut that off. Oops. Sorry. Ah! There we go. Because now this doesn't work, at least. Well, it kind of does work, doesn't it? Huh. Oh, no, I'm retarded. We just go here. There we go. We can push up.
Is the black group at G9 fine?
The G9 group is not fine yet, but it's not surrounded. The middle group for white is going to be surrounded after this. Like, we could go and do something like here, I guess, and try to kill it, but it's still not going to be worth what's, you know, being given up here. And it's definitely not going to be worth the right-hand side area that we're now growing, yeah? So, fearing the outside, white defends, black cuts off, we try and cut off over here. This doesn't really yield anything. absolutely no care given whatsoever to anything going on here. It's like, you can try to kill me. Literally does not care because he's going after the other group and making sure that it's dead. There's no Aji remaining. Nothing. Verifying there's no way to live. Tries to bring his stone out. Doesn't quite work. Maybe some eye shape here. Again, doesn't quite work. Gets to cut it off, but there's too many forcing moves that we can use just to escape. So at this point, yeah, we're out, and bad news bears. At this point, we just have, oops. I somehow went back too far. That's on the board somewhere. Oh, right, because there and there. There we go. That makes sense. Otherwise, there would have been a little bit of hope here, because you could have played this, into this, into this, into this, and then have a co, maybe, I guess? Or just life. Menu. That's it for today's lecture. Obviously, Park Ji-won goes on to win that game because the middle is no longer among the living. And we never get a chance to actually see the upper left result, or resolved rather, because after it's clear that black is out and white is dead, white just goes ahead and resigns.